And everybody else has a bounce in their step. Look at Gary Kubiak, the 52-year-old head coach. He has both hands to the sides of his head while everybody else heads for the locker room. They're up 21-3 at this point. In retrospect, you could tell he was in distress at that point. Now as he tries to leave the field, he's going to collapse, go to his knees. For some period of time, a few minutes, he was flat on his back. Eventually he sat up, and then they wheeled him off on a gurney. He was taken by ambulance to the hospital. What we have been told is that he did not have a heart attack. Beyond that, we don't have particulars. Perhaps we can learn more. Michele Tafoya is now with Rick Smith, the general manager of the Texans. Michele?
Well, Rick, a very, very difficult night for this organization. What can you tell us about the condition of Coach Kubiak at this point?
Well, as I think your cameras captured, he had an episode at the end of the first half where he was lightheaded and dizzy, and so we took him to one of the local hospitals. He's been evaluated by a number of specialists. He is awake, he's coherent, and he's talking, and so we're just trying to get some information about how, what his condition is.
What were you told about what happened down here?
Well, that he was lightheaded and dizzy, and he went to a knee. And then they laid him on the ground to make sure that his vital signs are stable, so he is stable. And so that's basically what happened. And for precautionary reasons, of course, we wanted to get him to the hospital to get him evaluated.
So knowing what you know right now and based on that information, how does the organization move forward?
Well, we have to assess, Michelle. Obviously, there's a lot of information to be gathered at this point, so I don't want to speculate on anything at this point. Hopefully, Gary will be back with us tomorrow, and that's how we move forward.
So that is a potential that he could be back and with you tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bob?
All right, Michele, thanks very much. Based on all the concern, which was understandably felt while he was lying there on the field, we'd have to say that this is a very favorable report, all things considered, that we just heard from Rick Smith. Let's bring in Tony Dungy right now. Tony, on any other night, we'd be talking about Case Keenum, who had a great first half, and Andrew Luck, who had a great second half. But the biggest story was obviously Gary Kubiak leaving the Texans at halftime. What effect would you say that had on the team in the second half?
Well, two major effects, Bob. Number one, Gary Kubiak, in addition to being the head coach, is the play caller on offense. And you could see that their rhythm was not the same in the second half, obviously had an impact that way, but also intangibly. Players go in the locker room at halftime, your coach is not there, nobody's sure of what his condition is. I have to think that had an effect on those Houston Texan players in the second half. They didn't quite play their game as they did in the first half, as you mentioned.
Plus, Tony, talk about a dramatic